What up, Diggy? Good morning. How are you? I'm just doing a quick post here on Instagram, and we'll get right to it. There's definitely some interesting things going on, as we can all agree. Do you guys have shares in the Kansas City backfield? Just Thompson? Yeah, I figured you guys would have him. It's crazy because I drafted him right like a couple hours before the news broke with Shady McCoy. So this is the thing, though. I want to get into this more in a second here. Why couldn't McCoy go to the Chargers and make life a little easier? Guys, the good thing about it is that if you drafted, let's see, you got Damien and Darwin. Okay, Savi. So chances are you're going to get, I don't know, depending where you drafted Damien, but chances are you're probably going to get some RB1 weeks. You might get some RB2 weeks. If you get a three-headed monster, you know, if you build your team around that and you followed what I told you, and this is why I tell you guys, depth is it's so important. It's so key. So when it comes to running backs, actually depth is more important than our quantity. When it comes to running backs is more important than quality. When receivers, quality is more important because there's so few quality, but you can get running backs later and you can stack the running backs and create depth. So if situations like this happen, it doesn't kill your team. You're covered. You know what I'm saying? You got Damon. You see, Savi, you had to take those players there. So I'm guessing, I hope you went, 1-1 probably the first 2 rounds. So you probably got another running back in addition to Damian Williams, Darwin Thompson. So you should be able to get at least one head between those two. You got a second head with Montgomery. And then who's your third head? Did you pick, a running back in the first 2 rounds? Because, I mean, that was great value. You had to take Damian Williams at 3.10. It was worth it. So, and then luckily you were able to back him up with Darwin Thompson. I'm not sure where you took Darwin Thompson, but it was probably a little later. I think you drafted a bit ago, right? Give me 1 second, guys. Oops. Thanks for the thumbs up, whoever gave it to me. Anybody wants to give me a like, do appreciate it. I think it helps with, I don't know, how this whole YouTube, how do you blow up on YouTube? But I think every like, every share, every comment helps. So thank you. Y'all could do that. What's your opinion on Tyler Lockett or Dede Westbrook as a flex today? Okay, so that's a good question. First off, I love Dede Westbrook. Tyler Lockett's growing on me a little bit if he can manage to stay in the slot and I could finally see some volume out of him. Remember, I don't think Tyler Lockett's ever had even like 100 targets. So that's the only concerning thing about him. But because, what's this guy's name? Gary Jennings hasn't looked that great. Does anybody know if Gary Jennings got cut? I'm gonna check that up actually, because for Dynasty he could have some relevance. What was I saying though? Sorry, I lose my train of thought very easily. Oh, so I like both of them. I think I like Dede more. I think Dede will be more consistent. I think he'll be a target hog. Anybody that has Dede Westbrook as a wide receiver 3, I think he's going more closer to being a 2 now. He was going to 3 all offseason, but I think he is such a great receiver. I'd put him, definitely a wide receiver 2. And I think he'll have a high floor. I think Lockett subject. I like Dede more, but I do think you should play the matchups. So that's what I was getting at. So there's about 5 to 10 maybe elite receivers every week. Starters plug and play. You don't even think twice. But then everybody else is pretty much a crapshoot. I think Dede is close to being that guy, and actually to a certain extent, actually they probably both are. So if you have to choose between the two, then you play the matchup. There's not one that's clearly better. I mean, if they're every week starters, I like Dede more, but hope that answers your question. Didn't mean to confuse. It's still early, guys. I didn't sleep so good last night, so yeah. Here. Does a thumbs up for sure. Thank you guys. Thumbs up, very much appreciated. And welcome if you're just joining us. I'm trying to see if we could get some more people on, but I do want to talk about everything that's been going on. I want to bring up the cuts here too, because who's I looking for? Oh yeah, Gary Jennings, and there were some interesting cuts. Most notably, I think Houston. They had a couple undrafted free agents that look good. A couple running backs. I'm talking about Karan Higdon and Demaria. I hope I'm pronouncing it right. Crockett. They both got cut. Carlos Hyde is there. I'm not a big fan of Carlos Hyde, but this is going to be an interesting offense. I'm a lot higher now on Deshaun Watson because now he's got a left tackle. You give a guy like Deshaun Watson a left tackle, guys. Like he can easily be the #1 quarterback. He's the only player, in my opinion, that can outscore Patrick Mahomes this year. Because I mean, the guy's dynamic and he's going to offer you a lot more with his legs, and he's got weapons, bro. When Kenny Stills is your 4th receiver with a good quarterback, Kenny Stills is nothing special, but he's shown flashes. He's shown he can make plays, and if it's your 4th receiver with a good quarterback with Fuller. Well, I think it's going to be one of those. It's a weird situation. So I think, in a sense, Kenny Stills is the handcuff to Fuller. And I did this yesterday in one of my leagues. I'm going to post my league. I did a draft yesterday. But Kenny Stills is like the handcuff to Will Fuller. And what I did was I went with a 3-headed monster early. I was the first pick, right? What up, Juan Carlos? I was the first pick. I went Barkley, obviously. The following 2 picks, the first turn, I went Kerryon and David Montgomery. It was between Kerryon and Adam Thielen for me. I liked to go with Kerryon, and because Thielen was hurt. And then I found myself, like everybody's picking receivers. So I was hoping to maybe get Godwin or Boyd or both in that 4 or 5 turn, but Godwin went in the 3rd. So, and then Boyd got picked right before me. So I went with Cooper Kupp and Kenny Golladay. And then for my 3rd receivers, again, it was slim pickings. I went with Dante Pettis. The reason I'm bringing this up is what I did because, again, you win with the running back position. I always stack my benches with running backs. I always say you don't need more than 1 or 2 receivers, but they were getting really thin. I had picked up Dante Pettis in the 9th, which to me is a steal. Now, this is key. A lot of you guys have drafted, but I want to show you how I think and how you guys should be thinking too. Every scenario can be unique in its own way. So I know Dante Pettis is injury prone. I think if he stays healthy, he's one of those players that can easily not be a wide receiver 3. He can easily be a wide receiver 2 because he's that gifted. But what I did was I cuffed him with Deebo Samuels. So I know you don't hear people talk about that, but super talented, injury prone. Deebo, second round pick, super talented, just needs the opportunity. So that's a really, really good cuff. You want to know another cuff like that, guys? If you have Alshon Jeffrey, which I don't recommend drafting, cuff him with JJ Arcega-Whiteside. So at least when you cuff, when it's situations like that, when it's potent offenses, when they're similar players, if you cuff, you secure yourself a solid player, whether that be, JJ Arcega-Whiteside is a wide receiver 3, wide receiver 2 once he plays. Not saying for the season, but he's one of those guys. If Jeffrey gets hurt, he comes in, he can possibly put up wide receiver 2 numbers. But worst case scenario, I think he could be a wide receiver 3, and you secure that spot, a consistent player. It's hard to find, those players later in the season that could be consistent, unless it's a player that's due to injury. And I always try to recommend getting that player or having that player before everybody else, so you don't have to waste a waiver. All right, let's go back. Let's get some questions now. Kind of funny. I got Singletary on that team with Damian and Darwin. Talk about ups and downs. Okay, that's really cool too, because check this out, guys. I think this is the problem people make. And this is where talent over everything comes to play if you build your team the right way and you build it around depth. So you go really, this is how my whole philosophy all gets combined. I go super, 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 super safe in the beginning. And then I create depth at the running back. And that's when I go for upside. So Singletary right now, Singletary has more immediate value. People focus too much on, how many people drop Darwin Thompson? Because nobody's got vision. Everybody sees what's in the now, and they look at numbers and they look at stats. Darwin Thompson got dropped, which to me is ridiculous because he's so talented. But guys, if an opportunity presents itself to a team, it's in the team's best interest to take advantage of that opportunity. Shady McCoy got released. It was a free player who's familiar with Andy Reid's system. Do I think he'll have a role? Yes. Do I think he'll have a significant role? Possibly. But it doesn't mean you let go of a player like Darwin Thompson, who's so talented. Chances are, guys, in a full 16-game season, this is how you got to think. Chances are, in a full 16-game season, at least Damian Williams or Shady McCoy is going to get injured. At least one of them. The odds are in your favor. So I think Darwin Thompson could come in and be the guy, even if it's in a complimentary role. He can be your every week flex. And you know what? That's where you drafted him. So even if Darwin Thompson doesn't plan out, that's not your starter. You should have at least 3 to 4 running backs in front of Darwin Thompson if you use my strategies. So he's perfect guy you want to stash away because you have the luxury now, because you went so secure that you got a strong team up front. And building a draft is a tale of two cities. You build your first picks for the first half of the year, and then you build your back picks, your depth for the second half of the year. So Singletary is a guy that could come on after week 8, week 10. We see it every year. Jalen Samuels, Damian Williams last year, Justin Jackson. There's guys. So a lot of people just build their team for the now and don't cover themselves for the future. I have Calvin. Almost missed this. I always forget you're 2 hours behind. I have Calvin Ridley, Austin Hooper, James White, Tom Brady, Jamison Crowder, Singletary, Pettis. Should I drop or trade one for Josh Gordon? Yeah, I would drop Tom Brady for Gordon. I just traded Royce for Pettis. What do you think? Now trying to shop Lindsey. I wouldn't have done that. I draft today at 5 p.m. Also, my TEs are now Doyle and Goddard. That's solid. I think Darwin Thompson still has a lot of value and talent over everything. I do too. I just think he's definitely a stash at this point. It's not somebody but that's the whole thing about stashes, guys. Because you're drafting guys like in the back end, your Darwin Thompsons, your Justice Hills, your Damian Harris, your Jalen Samuels. Those are guys that are not going to be immediate, give you that immediate production, but you didn't draft them to be your starter. And you know what? I'll take those guys over guys, you guys know who they are, that have no upside. I'd rather get 0 for them early because I drafted strong and I can afford to wait. That's what a good drafter does. He doesn't have to rely. Now, if you got to rely on Darwin Thompson, you got issues. But if you could have that as your secret weapon, that you know what I'm saying? All right. Why are people grabbing Williams? Have you not been watching this channel? Damian Williams, you mean? Well, I never pushed for Damian Williams. I said that he shouldn't be going where he's going. But a lot of these people that have drafted Damian Williams, they got him as a bargain. So I did say that at the right price, I would take Damian Williams. And most of you guys, Entourage, have been drafting him in late 3rd, maybe 4th, or even 3rd. I mean, that's good value. So I don't think anybody has drafted him earlier than that. I don't know. But, there is a price that Damian Williams, and we can't predict the future, guys. We didn't know Shady McCoy was going to go there. And I just think it's going to be hard to find consistency. And there is a real threat of Shady taking over that backfield. Absolutely. Yeah, you had to pick him there, baby. That sounds weird. Baby Crazo. So 411, you had to. Like, any reasonable person would have scooped him up at 4.11. Hindsight is 2020. What you knew at that time, that was a no-brainer. And you know what? At 411, even if he flames out, it's not that big a deal because I'm sure you drafted good all the other rounds. You think Melvin Gordon ends his holdout? Yeah, at some point, it's going to cost them money. So I don't think it's going to be more than a couple of weeks. Melvin Gordon could be a sneaky play. Are you still high on Pettis? I am still high on Pettis. I drafted Pettis yesterday. He's my 3rd wide receiver. He's a slam dunk. The only concern I have with Pettis, so he's being chosen right now, I don't know, wide receiver 3. Let's pull some of these stats up. Wide receiver 3, wide receiver 4. Let's see where Pettis is going. And I'll show you what I did. I'll tell you what I did for those that are just joining us. Because this is interesting stuff. But, I mean, drafts never go like these ADPs because I had people reaching like crazy. I forgot some of the craziest picks. I'm going to do a post about that, actually. So right now, damn, Dede Westbrook, even in the 6th round, he's still the 28th wide receiver. I think Dede Westbrook could be the best value. If you guys haven't drafted yet, I would be targeting him in the 6th easy. Some drafts you could get him later. If you already drafted, if you have him on your team, that's awesome. If not, I would try trading for Dede Westbrook. I got D. Williams in 1 draft. All right. Darwin could be the guy next year is what I'm thinking, and maybe turn it on late this year and into the playoffs. Yeah. I don't think Darwin will ever be a 3-down back, though. I think this is the number one mistake people make. They think it's all or nothing. Either you're a 3-down workhorse superstar or you're nothing. That's not true. Kamara is a complimentary back. Justin Jackson, those are complimentary backs that are going to put in work. Lindsey, with 45% of the snaps, was the RB12 last year. So Tevin Coleman has been an RB2 every year. Freeman was an RB1 with Tevin Coleman. Like, you can be a complimentary back in a potent offense, in the right system, and be efficient with your points. Because if you're getting those chunk plays, because when they're giving it to Lindsey on a run, it's a passing down, so nobody expects them to just give Lindsey a draw with his 4.37 speed. That one carries 30 yards. You could get 1 catch for 30 yards. That's 4 points. You know what I'm saying? Like, those points can rack up quick when you have, good play callers and big, but they're just better suited as an RB, 3. And that's why I focus on creating that three-headed monster. But an RB3, I want them as my RB3. It doesn't mean their numbers don't show RB2 numbers. You get what I'm saying? Because I want them as my RB3 because sometimes they might be up and down. So the finals numbers will be there, but then they have some bad games. So I'd rather have that as an RB3 and have two surefire workhorses, have high floors as my 1 and 2, and then I have 3 running backs that are basically giving me RB1 production because that third running back, the reason he's an RB2 is because his games are either RB1 or RB3. So now on some weeks, you'll have 3 of the top 10 running backs. So it's pretty crazy. There's a whole psyche, a whole philosophy the way I play the game, guys. It's about chess. It's about being one step ahead and playing out all the different scenarios that could happen and using whatever benefit you have to the maximum potential. That sounded really cool. Darwin or Jalen Samuels. I think right now the responsible thing to say would be Jalen Samuels. He has the road to least resistance. And I think he'll have a role. I don't think he's going to have as big a role as people think, but he might have some flex appeal. They're basically all the same, but again, talent over everything. If you need that home run, Darwin's the biggest home run, but Jalen Samuel too, because if something happens to Connor, I say Jalen Samuels with all that. All right. So you think Melvin Gordon ends his hold at some point? Yes. Are you still high on Pettis? Yes. The injuries is the only thing. Like I said, that's what I was looking up before I got sidetracked. Shit. Pettis, oh my God. You see, yes. So Pettis right now is the 44th receiver taken, guys. That's a wide receiver 4. And I'm telling you that you can get a wide receiver 2 slam dunk for wide receiver 4 price. And if you cuff him with Debo, then you're good. Then you're guaranteed a wide receiver 2 for the season. I think Debo is, again, there's always players, even DJ Moore. If you look at DJ Moore later on in the season, he was a wide receiver 2. We just don't look at him that way because, rookies are like that. Debo's your stash. So that's a great way to secure a wide receiver. Remember, people are paying wide receiver 2 prices in the 4th or 5th round. You can get your wide receiver 2 in the 9th round because he's going as a wide receiver 4 and cuff him. So I'd rather, because Debo's going super late, 13th round, 14th round, whenever, I'd rather do that, spend a 9th and a 14th on my wide receiver 2 that you could plug in as your wide receiver 3 than to spend another 4th or 5th round pick on an actual wide receiver 2 based on ADP where I could use that on another running back. Or maybe I will use that as another wide receiver, but I don't have to because I can secure that. And then you can play Dante Pettis, who I believe is going to be a wide receiver 2 as a wide receiver 3. So it's like a hack. Whoever has the most upgrades at their position. So if you have 2 wide receiver 2s when you should have a 2 or 3, those are the ones who wins. If you have 3 running back 1s when other teams don't even have 1 sometimes, I stayed away from Damian Williams because he's going around Kerryon Johnson. Yeah, we had this discussion too. I remember I was with the show and I was like, yeah, I would take Kerryon and Aaron Jones over Damian Williams. And that's the reason why. Talent over everything. We're seeing this, guys. Talent will prevail. And you're going to see it. Some people originally weren't that high on Aaron Jones because they saw Jamal Williams. People were higher on Damian Williams. That's why that's a perfect – I'm glad you brought that up. That's the perfect example of talent over everything. I just didn't feel right because Damian Williams is a 27-year-old journeyman, and I know his value is attached to his system. Well, guess what? That's not a constant. So what happens if he was to get traded? Not saying he would, but I go with the constant. I know Kerryon and Aaron Jones are more talented, so their chance of being removed, because you always got to be thinking ahead. You always got to be thinking worst case scenario. Worst case scenario, if this doesn't pan out, if Damian Williams doesn't pan out, then I wasted a 2nd, 3rd round pick. So that's what I was saying. They all have, and carry on again, and Aaron Jones, they're all third round picks, and they all have risks, just different risks. Aaron Jones, obviously, and Kerryon Johnson is an injury risk. But if they all have risks, then again, I'm going with talent. I'd rather go with talent. Damian Williams is a risk too, so. And he had a hamstring. Thumbs up. Yeah, I do appreciate any thumbs up. So we got 20 people on here. It would be cool if we had 20 thumbs up. We only got 6. Hook it up. We're going in, guys. We're going deep. Saquon, Thielen, Montgomery, good top 3 picks. Absolutely. That's what I almost did. I went carry on, but I could have went William. I could have went Thielen in some drafts, like best ball I did. I drafted CMC, Dalvin Cook before I took Williams. Yeah, so you protected yourself because at some point, guys, you can get that RB3. So my goal out of a draft, okay, when it comes to creating the 3-headed monster, I want to hopefully get at least 2 in the draft. That third one could be iffy. Tevin Coleman, Duke Johnson, those guys, if they play to their potential, they're good RB3s because, again, they might have lower floors than guys like Montgomery and Kerryon Johnson, those guys. But when they hit, they could hit just as big, if not bigger. Like Tevin Coleman could get those 30-point games. He's done it before in Atlanta. But he can also get those 8-point games. And that's what separates the elite from the obsolete. You know what I'm saying? So I know, look at James Conner. James Conner's a perfect example. His stat line was 20, 18, 25, 15. Like very, very consistent. My team is Darnold, Mixon, Barkley, Woods, Evans, Hooper. Oh, my God. We just picked everybody I love. And you got a D. Yeah, that's insane. That's Yahoo for you or ESPN, whatever. 1 draft left. Grade, very confused. No, guys, the lower your grade is, the better your team is. So if you got an F, like – I'm worried. My team only got C. Usually I get an F or a D, so I'm a little worried. But guys, the grades mean nothing. Their grades are based on their ADPs, which we know are wrong every year. So, yeah, don't be freaked out about your grades. That's the most ridiculous thing ever. Guys, if their information was so good, they wouldn't be giving it away for free. You want good information? It's never free. No, that's not true. I take that back. But in this case, ESPN, they're personalities. They have no who would you take with the 4th pick? 4th pick, I would probably go, you could go Zeke, Adams, or Chubb. As long as you cuff Zeke with Pollard, you're fine. I took Barkley, Thielen, and then Montgomery. Pettis is my wide receiver 5. Yeah, so you see, that's what I'm saying. That's where he's going, like wide receiver 4 or 5, and he has so much upside. I mean, as crazy as this sounds, Pettis has wide receiver 1 upside. Like, you guys don't understand. Pettis is impossible to cover. Like, he's just so good at separating. He's fast. He's elusive. He's one of those guys that's, like, slippery. Like, you can't get a hold of him. Like, where the fuck is this guy? He's so, like, he's like AB. The way he runs routes, the only thing stopping him is injury. He is injury prone. He's right now nursing a freaking groin. He just seems like one of those injury prone guys, and it irks me because he's so like a cheeky cutie. Hopefully Anthony Miller's not that, but damn, these guys are talented. If they could stay healthy, be awesome. Should I start Mike Evans and Godwin against Niners, or switch one of them with Calvin or Pettis? No, I mean, guys, start your studs. It doesn't matter if they're on the same team, because then you're guaranteed to get at least one big game. One of those receivers is going to give you a big game, so it'll make up for the one that doesn't. Crowder, I wouldn't start guys. I mean, Crowder could go off. Any NFL player could go off. You see it. Guys, one thing that you got to take into account, and why I don't stress about guys like wide receiver 3s and stuff, you got to understand, every single week in the NFL, there are wide receiver 1s that play like wide receiver 3s or sometimes lower. every week, and I'm talking about every week. I'm telling you this because I'm a gambler. I do this for a freaking living. I play DFS, and I notice every single trend because I'm obsessed. So every single week, there's a wide receiver 3 or 4 that plays like a wide receiver 1. Real talk. And that's every single week. Look it up for yourselves. I talk about this in my book. So you guys, where was I going with this? I don't know where I was. I know I had a reason for saying this. Sorry, guys. I barely slept. What up, Con? How do I give you a thumbs up? I don't even know. Just where the thumb? No. I don't know, guys. I don't even know how to give myself a thumbs up. Somebody explain this. Start Robbie Anderson or Mike Williams. Oh, here we go. So I rather go with a guy. That's where I was going. Johnny's question. So I rather go with guys that are going to get a lot of targets and have high floors than to play guessing games because again, some of these other receivers besides a Godwin and a Evans who are in the right offense are going to get peppered with targets. They can have lower floors that can kill you on certain weeks because it's just the nature of the beast. Jameis Winston in the 12th is beautiful. I picked CMC Dalvin Cook before I took Williams in the 3rd round. Perfect. How do I give you a thumbs up? Okay, so we're catching up here. 0.5 PPR is today. I'm drafting 12, 13. Who should I take out of Dalvin, OBJ, Juju? I would go Juju Mixon personally. You could substitute Dalvin, for Juju. Juju's just more, you got to go safe. Like, I love OBJ, but Juju has just as much upside. And he's a lot more secure. So I love Juju there. Between Mixon and Dalvin, just make sure if you get Dalvin, you cuff him with Madison. But it's a complete toss-up, honestly. If you want to go Cook, I've got no problem with that. Can you explain the floor of Montgomery? Like, explain the breakdown, how you think he's going to get his points, the whole thing. Bro, Steven, get outside your head. Like, I feel like you're so analytical, dude. Like, it's crazy. Montgomery, Jordan Howard got – this is – okay, fine, Steve. I'm going to do this just for you because Jordan Howard got 250 carries last year, and he wasn't very good with them. 250 carries is between 250 carries and 300. Most coaches don't want to go over 300 carries because there's a 300 carry curse. It's almost like science. If you go over 300 carries – your production is likely to dip. That's why I'm not as big on Zeke, and I'm telling people to take Chubb over Zeke, but that's just me. So he'll get 250 carries, and just compare his stats to Kareem Hunt. Kareem Hunt had like 40 or 50 receptions his rookie year under Nagy. Again, Montgomery is very similar to that. So with 250 carries, if Jordan Howard got basically 1,000 yards, I think Montgomery, because he's better, he'll have a better yards per carry. He's better at breaking tackles. He's better overall talent. Can get 1,200 yards, I think, maybe 1,300 yards rushing, and then at least 40 to 50 balls. That's more or less what Kareem Hunt caught his first year. That's more or less what a Nagy offense requires. I don't know if that's what you were looking for. I can't break it down per game. Like, is he going to get 4? But that's how he's a pass catcher in a Poland offense, and he's a bruising back. He has the build for a 3-down back. Montgomery's the biggest steal of the draft, even at 3rd, and most of you guys getting him at 4th, round value. Olsen or Rudolph? Olsen, not a fan of either. I have CMC and Lindsey starting at running back. Yeah, Lindsey, he's better suited as a 3 for your 3-headed monster, but he's going to have weeks where he's a 1. I just like him as a 3 because, again, I think he'll be a little more inconsistent than a true RB1, which, again, I like to have 2 RB1s for an RB2. So he will give you RB2 numbers. It's just I rather have him as an RB3 because I like 2 RB1s. Make sense? Close the Jets out. What are your thoughts on Marlon Mack and Mark? I don't really like either Marlon Mack or Mark Ingram. I like Ingram more than Mack, but I just feel like I don't know if you guys were here, but I talk about the season being like a tale of two cities, and you got to draft basically like for the first half and the second half. So I think Mark Ingram is one of those guys that's going to really start off good and produce good numbers and make owners really, really happy. But that's when I would get rid of him. I don't like running backs that are a little older, that have never been the guy. And yes, because of that system, I think he'll be good, but I'm not sure he can last. And Justice Hill is really talented behind him. That's another thing. I don't feel comfortable. Like, that's why I didn't feel comfortable with Damian Williams, is because I knew he had a talented guy behind him. I don't like when running backs have a talented guy behind him. That's why I don't like Zach Ertz either, because I know Dallas Goedert is so talented. And these things have a funny way of playing themselves out. And I've given examples in my book. Again, David Johnson, rookie. Chris Johnson was having a good year, but David Johnson was clearly the better back, and Chris Johnson was just getting those starts because the coach, he was a veteran, and it's kind of like giving him. It was kind of, I think, a little bit of politics, just giving him that seniority treatment, and then Chris Johnson gets hurt, and boom. These things have a funny way of working themselves. So I think guys like Justice Hill, Damian Harris, Jalen Samuels, Darwin Thompson, these guys are going to be the guys you want to stash, you want to be patient with. Those are going to be the league winners in the second half of the year that a lot of owners are going to be dropping because they're like, oh, man, Ingram's killing it. Drop Justice Hill. Oh, man, they got Damian Williams. They got LaShawn McCoy. Drop Thompson. And then those are going to be the late hot waiver wire pickups because they're not doing anything. And all of a sudden something happens. You guys see it every year. Does this sound familiar? Thank you, Tony. Should I try to target D Williams? If so, who should I target? I wouldn't target Damian Williams. No, he's not somebody I would be actively targeting. I have Kyler Murray, Barkley, Nick Chubb, Mike Evans. Yeah, bro, you're good. I think I will win the league. Yeah, I worry about Evan Ingram possibly getting injured because he has 2 years in a row. But other than that, you're gravy. I would try to sell Ingram, especially early on. He's like Mark Ingram. So I would try to sell him after a couple of good games and upgrade. Well, you don't really need to upgrade anywhere, but so yeah, I mean, you're good because you don't need to upgrade, and then hopefully you got enough bench if Ingram gets injured. But I would definitely, if you could trade him on a high because you got stud players anyway and get a decent tight end, and then maybe upgrade your bench spot, a receiver, a dope running back, whatever. 5th pick. 12-man PPR looking for Adams or Hopkins. Who should I look for coming back around 5th pick, 12? So, yeah, that's where you're going to pick your RB1. So either Mixon or Cook will probably be the guy. I doubt Chubb, falls that low, but that's a Cook or Mixon type of pick. But it is dangerous, though. I don't know if I would go receiver because the problem is, being the 5th pick, you might not get. Some people were reaching for Cook after he had a 75-yard run. People in my league picked him like top 10 yesterday. So same thing with Mixon. He'll probably go late first, probably early second. So you're risking because then the running back drop off is significant. The board has changed. Early in the offseason, I was all for doing that because Cook and Mixon were slipping and stuff, but not anymore. I mean, Mixon is more than Cook. I think Cook could probably get, and that's what happened in my league. Cook got chosen first, but you're risky missing out because after that Mixon Cook cut, then it's guys like Damian Williams, Aaron Jones, Kerryon Johnson, 3 guys that I prefer as my RB2 with RB1 upside, but because in the case of Johnson and Jones, their injury history, in the case of Damian Williams, him being, overtaken altogether, you might want to go running back and get Zeke or Nick Chubb there. Yes, you're missing out on Adams, but then you're missing out on RB1, like a true, like secure RB1. So if you do that, though, if you do that strategy and you're back at the top of the third, so now you got, you said the second. I lose my train of thought sometimes. Oh, yeah, second round. So the second round, then you can either go Evans and get your stud there. And I don't think the drop-off is as big as people think. I do think Adams is clearly better, but Evans could still be a top 5. If he's not there, then you could pick another running back and form your three-headed monster right off the bat. With then, carry on or something like that, Montgomery. I would take them, if you don't think they're going to come back around, even if it's the second round, it's worth it. If you build, it depends on your team. Depends on how you're building your team. I loaded at wide receiver Juju, Cooks, Galladay, Pettis. Develop a three-headed monster running back. Do you have any suggestion how to form that through trades? Yeah, I mean, you don't always have to form it through trades, because if you also, maybe you're weak in running back in the front end, but you created some stash backs. So if you have Darwin Thompson, Justice Hill, all those guys that I mentioned, then your three-headed monster could eventually come together on its own or through waivers. I wouldn't always necessarily seek trades. I think trades is more like a last resort. But since you're deep at wide receiver, I think you should trade Cooks, because you'll still have a stud wide receiver 2. Galladay or Cooks, whichever one could get you the most value. You could trade one of them, because between Pettis and Miller, you definitely have a wide receiver 3, and then form your three-headed monster that way. Even if you have to package them with somebody else, just to get a guy like Jacobs, Carry On, Aaron Jones, whichever one is less value, so that you think you have a better shot at getting. That's how you could do it too. And that's how you get your third-headed monster. So you don't have to have your three-headed monster right off the bat. Oftentimes I don't. Which is why I say stash the hell out of your bench with running backs. So I'll stash my bench with like 3 or 4 running backs, and I'm just looking for one to pan out. Listen, guys, that's what I try to tell you guys. Everybody wants to be right about everything. I'm telling you I'm going to be wrong. I'm telling you I'm going to be wrong, because everybody in fantasy football is wrong. What I'm showing you how to do is to be wrong the right way. So I don't mind. Look, there's only, and I explained this too, there's only so many stud fantasy players in all of fantasy football. You think you're just going to have them all on your team? There's like 10 to 15 really, really relevant players. More like 10 in each position. You can't have them all. But if you get one, that's a big deal. If you get one stud, even if you wasted 5, that's worth having a bunch of 5 mediocre players that are nothing more than bye-week fill-ins and complete darts. You feel me? That's why you go for the home run. Expecting, just knowing, look, I'm going to be wrong. Justice Hill, Damian Harris, Jalen Samuels, Alexander Madison. All these guys ain't going to boom. Anybody telling you that's lying. But I just need one. You get one Jalen Samuels to do what he did last year, where he was an RB1 for the playoffs. That's all you need. Because you also drafted Montgomery and whoever, and Saquon or Carry On or whatever. And so you just need one of those guys to hit, and one Nick Chubb. You know what I'm saying? One Phillip Lindsay. And you can get them on waivers, or hopefully you already got them stashed away. What's up, Sebs? If you're still on, just drafted Wentz, Hop, Godwin, Chubb, Carry On, Montgomery, Hooper gave me D+. Yeah, that's what Yahoo does. Yeah, that's really good drafting, Garrett, especially for 12-man. Hooper is my backup. Oh, my God, that's amazing. So you're good, bro. I wouldn't touch it. Johnny, you're one of those teams. The only thing you could do is fuck it up. The only thing you could possibly do is fuck it up with a trade. Don't touch your team. Your team is like, I very seldom say this. Now, you're going to have to make adjustments because injuries happen. Some players will bust. But some teams, and I get so annoyed when I see this. It's like so hard to have a perfect draft, and you guys have a huge advantage because you're using techniques that nobody uses that don't make sense, which is why you're getting D+ and Fs. So that's why you guys can completely crush your league. Some of you guys are going to be going undefeated or 15-1. It's going to be ridiculous. especially if you're following me the whole way and I'm telling you every step which are the hottest waivers and you can get them before everybody else. You guys are gravy. But don't be that guy that just, obsesses over whatever it is and trades away your team. Because the worst feeling you could have in the world is not a player busting, is not losing, is to trade away, is to know you had gold and just give it away. That's the worst feeling in the world. I hate it. So don't do it, guys. If you got a good team, at least give them a chance to show themselves, because that's the worst feeling. Especially imagine you drop somebody and you trade somebody and then he ends up with your rival. Oh, it's happened to me. That's why I'm saying this. That's what's up, Tony. I love it. Would you take Mixon, cool, 12-13, then Godwin and Monty 3-4, risky, but 3-headed monster intact? Yeah, absolutely. Mixon, Cook, Godwin, Monty. Yeah, but Godwin's going to give you wide receiver 1 numbers. And then he's what I call like a mini anchor. And he could be kind of like a real anchor. But you take a couple mini anchors, and it's the same thing as getting a Juju or Adams or whatever. Because if you pair Godwin with then Boyd or Cup or even perhaps Galladay, those are 2 mini anchors. They're not Juju Adams, but they're just a tiny bit below. And you got 2 of them with the 3-headed monster, and those are guys with high floors. Again, high floors is the key, guys. Those guys, Godwin, Boyd, Cup, they're going to be red zone targets. They're going to be peppered with targets in general in the right systems. So they're going to have high floors. You're not gonna, a bad game for Boyd is going to be like 12 points. Same thing with Godwin, same thing with Cup, same thing. Galladay has a little shorter floor because I think they're going to spread the ball some, but Galladay is so talented that, yeah, he's Galladay, and that's your wide receiver 2. So you get 2 stud wide receiver 2s with it's game over, guys. What up, Lewis? I don't think Adams has the same year as last year. Marquise Callaway. Okay, guys. This is what you guys don't realize too. Adams is going to ball the fuck out, first of all. Let's get that out the way. You don't think he's going to have the same year? He's going to have at least that year, if not better. Because this is what you guys got to realize. It doesn't matter how many weapons a team has. They're going to feed their studs. That's why this notion, I mentioned this too, OBJ, oh, they got Chubb, they got Njoku, they got Landry. It's like I'm feeding OBJ, and what's ever left over goes to Landry, goes to Njoku. Same situation in Green Bay, guys. It's Adams, more Adams. Whatever's left over goes to MVS and Geronimo. So don't get that twisted, guys. And that's why people put these assumptions in their head. They play these scenarios out. Well, he's not going to get – no, bro, because first of all, MVS is more of a deep threat. MVS is going to be that guy that gets that 60-yard bomb or they use in the red zone, which Adam is going to be they're going to spread the ball around, yes, but it doesn't mean Adams is not going to get his, and he might get his. Having more weapons helps, guys, because you could only focus on so many people. You got Aaron Jones, too, coming out of the backfield as a pass catcher as well. Adams going to see more one-on-one coverages. He's in a better offense. So it's all about efficiency. What do you do with your targets? I don't see if they drop, it's going to be like, 4 or 5 targets for the season. It's not going to be, I don't see that his targets dropping, to 120. Adams is a beast, guys. Big players do big things. Lindsey and Pettis for Cup and Aaron Jones. I'll see why. I mean, Garrett, there's more than one way to skin a cat. If Lindsey has more value now, you trade him now if that's what you want to do. But okay, Cooks, Lindsey, and Pettis for Cup, Aaron Jones. Cooks, Lindsey, Pettis, Cup, Aaron Jones. I don't know, bro. It depends on the situation. It depends what you're able to get. Like, there's so many scenarios that some questions, like, I need more information. It's hard. Like, I'd be irresponsible to be answering some of the questions that you guys ask me because I go so deep. like I say, I always play out the worst case scenarios in trade. Well, what happens if I end up? What's the worst case scenario? What happens if I end up with nothing? Because that's always a possibility. It's the National Football League. So you got to make sure when you're doing certain trades, what your bench looks like. There's a lot that goes into it. So it's hard for me sometimes to answer these questions that involve trades because I have to see both teams' rosters, et cetera, know your league. It's a lot, guys. That's why I say get in the Facebook group. There we could break it down. You could send me screenshots of your teams, and I could build a whole strategy for you. That's different. What up, Daryl? Wide receivers are Adam. Wow. What the hell kind of league do you play in? RB1 or because I have Lindsey, Montgomery, Coleman, Darwin. Yeah, I would trade one of those receivers. Yeah, whichever one you could get the most value again and upgrade at running back, I would do that because you need more running backs than receivers. So I think you're one running back away, I think, from being like really dominant, like one frontline running back. Why are some guys low on Hooper? Does he have big upside? He has huge upside. They're just ignorant because, again, like I tell you guys, everybody focuses on the now and what they see. They saw Hooper. He had his best year last year, but he was still kind of like he didn't blow people away, I guess. And now there's a lot of hype around some of these other guys that are coming back from injury, like O.J. Howard, Ingram. But I think Hooper could be just as good. And they don't realize who Dirk Coder is and his history with tight ends. So I think Hooper, for me, is going to be a top 5 tight end. What's up, Ice? Thoughts on Nelson Aguilar and Kenny Stills, both free agents? Yeah, Stills will have some value later in the year once Will Fuller gets hurt. But neither one of them is worth a pickup now unless your bench is that bad, which I hope not. Where do you draft with Sean? I'm still not big on 31-year-old running backs. You could take a shot at him in the 9th or 10th round, though. It's a funny story. I was drafting a best ball league yesterday. Yo, you want to hear something really crazy? Okay, so I was doing a best ball league. For those of you that are not familiar, you pick the lineup for the whole year. No trades, no waivers. So anyway, the thing went faster than I thought. I was distracted. I was getting ready. And I got auto-picked Zeke. And I was so mad because Chubb was there. I didn't want Zeke. It was the number 7 pick. So later in the draft, again, I'm trying to do 101 things while I'm doing this draft. And then I missed another pick. I got auto-picked Shady McCoy. I was so mad. I was like, oh, I hate Shady, da-da-da. Right after I'm done with the draft, we get word that Zeke might start week 1, that, they were gaining in their negotiations or whatever. Then last night, we get word that Kansas City signed Shady. So the picks that I hated the most ended up being amazing value. Zeke at 7. The only thing is I didn't cut from with Pollard, but I did create some running back depth. But I got like Mixon, Zeke, and and Montgomery, I think. Yeah. So I got Mixon, Zeke, Montgomery, and Shady in one best ball league for $1 million. Imagine if I win off a mistake. Could happen. Trade CMC for Aaron Jones and OBJ. I would do that. I don't have Facebook, just IG, YouTube, but I get enough of you from both because you'd go, appreciate you and picking your brain. Appreciate you, Tony. And QBs, Wentz, Allen, running back, CMC, Lindsey, Henderson, Balaj, Justin Jackson, wide receiver, Cooks. Yeah, you got a good team. Yeah, auction, I could see where that can be a little bit more difficult. But like I said, you've got pieces. At least you don't have any trash. You know what I'm saying? I'm not a fan of Balaj. Actually, this is what I would do if I was you. Right now, in my opinion, you could probably get good value for Balaj. I think like certain guys like Le'Veon Bell, his value is probably not going to be higher than it is right now. I would try to sell Balaj, maybe package him in with one of your receivers. Here we go, Huff. This is going to help you out. Package Balaj with Brandon Cooks for a dope running back, for your Aaron Jones, for your Kerryon Johnson. Because now, again, I think worst case scenario, if you fail, you're still back at square one. You still got a stud receiving core, and you didn't really lose any of your running backs because that's who you had to begin with, CMC and Lindsey. You feel me? So it's a risk worth taking because if it pans out, now you've got Montgomery, Kerryon, Lindsey, and a dope receiving core. Ballage, I'm not sold on him. I would sell him now. I think you could get a dope running back with Brandon Cooks and Ballage, or Jacobs. Just giving you some examples of guys to target. Jacobs, Aaron Jones, Kerryon Johnson. Those would be the three I would try targeting for Brandon Cooks and Ballage. Somebody will take that, hopefully. Trade CMC for Aaron Jones. Okay, already got Cook, Gordon. Yeah, I'm doing my first auction 2 hours. You got any tips, Rapper? Set it up into tiers. Set it up into tiers. What I mean by that is basically, this is some G shit right here, guys. So this is how you can win an auction. I do this in my regular drives. I have my tiers. So for instance, ready? Juju, Adams, Hopkins, OBJ, Michael Thomas are in one tier. So I know I at least want one of those guys. Whichever guy I could get the cheapest, that's who I'm spending money on because the difference is not that much. Juju, Adams, Hopkins, OBJ, the difference is not that much. There's a difference, but so I get one of those guys. Next tier, I'm really giving you the fucking game here, man. I want to see your team too when you get this. So the next tier is my Adam Thielen, Godwin, Kupp, Tyler Boyd, Golladay, Woods. That's my next tier. I know I at least want to get one of those guys. Whoever goes cheapest, get that guy. So I know I got my stud receiver, my mini anchor, and I got him at the best value because some guy fell in love with Hopkins, and I got Juju for $20 less, and he's going to give me similar production. That's how you win. And then later in the rounds, where there's some gems and everybody blew their load, you can start racking up on players because you could outbid anybody. But even if you outbid them, you could spend $3 or $4 because all they got is $1. You could get those Cortland Suttons, those Justice Hills, those Darwin Thompsons to fill out your bench, and you're still focusing on the three-headed monster. So I think Nick Chubb can be just as good as Zeke, CMC, Kamara, and Barkley. So I go after him. Boom. One head. Then you want Mixon, Kerryon. You could put Mixon up there too. But Kerryon, Aaron Jones, Josh Jacobs. I want one of those as my RB2. So go with the cheapest. And you could spend most of your budget on that. And then whatever left over, you're smart about it and you're going for all upside. So I hope that helps. Here's what you do for auction. Don't have a set stone plan because if you're waiting on players, then you could get screwed over. Break it to tiers and snag one if they're good for the price. Yeah, that's great. Take there, Garrett. Absolutely right. Fan of Henderson. I'm a fan of Henderson where he's going. He hasn't blown anybody away in the preseason. He hasn't looked really good running the football, but it is preseason, so I don't want to read too much into that. But I'm still not 110% convinced he's even going to be more relevant than Malcolm Brown. What I do like, because I do think Gurley's going to get injured, I do like that he's a pass catcher, and I like where he's going. So you could steal Darrell Henderson as your 4th, 5th running back in the 9th round, especially if you could get him as your 5th running back. I love it because he has huge upside. So love him at his price. Don't love him on his talent, the way he's playing, but for the price in that system, he's worth the upside for sure. Rate my team: Newton, Cook, Kerryon Johnson, Hopkins, Cooper, McDonald, D. Williams, Hilton, Ramsey. Yeah, I think it's pretty solid. There's some players I'm not really that fond of, like McDonald or Cooper, Newton. So you have some, but you have high upside. But again, it just matters on your bench too. I think you'll kill it too, Lewis. Cuff to carry on is Ty Johnson for sure. Most talent, big upside, pass catcher, extremely fast and explosive. Thank you for the likes, guys. You got more likes than people for the first. That's lit. Dexter Williams, I guess he made the team. He hasn't looked particularly good, but I do think he could have some fantasy value. So somebody, because Aaron Jones is so injury prone, there's a good possibility that someone else is going to emerge out of that Green Bay backfield. And whoever's the lead back, they're going to be as potent offense as anyone. And they're going to be used in the passing game. So Jamal Williams is not that talented. So Dexter Williams is certainly somebody I would target in Dynasty on the low, and somebody that can have potential upside because, again, Jones is injury prone. Williams is not very good. Yeah, I got you, Teddy. With the team I sent you before, who should I drop for Shady? I don't know. You had a lot of talent, bro. Oh, yeah, then it would probably be depending on what year. I would say Jack Doyle. You see, Garrett? But Garrett, that's a perfect. I'm glad you asked that question because it's a perfect example of what we talked about earlier. I said you don't always have to get a three-headed monster with a trade. Look, the opportunity in the middle of the chat presented itself. Shady McCoy, guys, they're paying him more money than they are Damian Williams. He has a history with Andy Reid. In that offense, however washed or old he might be, sometimes, as we saw with Williams, 27-year-old journeyman, sometimes it just takes being in the right situation. So he could end up being – there's a world where Shady could be an RB1 because he's in Kansas City. And definitely an RB2. So there you go. I'm not that confident in Shady. I'm just saying it's a possibility. I'm not saying it's going to happen. I'm not saying I think it's going to happen. But I do think it's a possibility. I do think he'll have fantasy relevance. I'm just not sure if, like I told you, he's not special. So for me to say that I think Shady is going to last a whole NFL season as an RB1 or RB2, I'd be hard-pressed to say that. But to say that Shady can be a starter for you for several games this year and produce high numbers, that I can say. And as long as you have a three-headed monster, it doesn't have to be the same three heads. You know, for parts of the year, Shady's balling out, and you're starting him every week, and that's your third-headed monster. But then he gets injured or something happens. But then by that time, you had because you stashed your bench. By that time, someone breaks out. A Jalen Samuels, Justice Hill, Darwin Thompson, Henderson. There's so many players. That's why it's always important to stash because the three-headed monster, it's all about maintaining and having the three-headed monster going into every week. I never said it's the same three heads. That's really difficult. Drafting three freaking amazing running backs and they stay healthy the whole year, yeah, that's impossible. That never happens. That's why I always aim for two, and then that third one, being hopefully, or if I get two, I know I could get three. And it's in a 16-game season, I know there'll be a third one on waivers for sure, guaranteed 100%. Your job is just to find them before everyone else, get them before everyone else, or hopefully, worst case scenario, you have that number one waiver because you saved it for this type of situation or that fob money. You know what I'm saying? Well, we matching 19 thumbs up, 19 people in the room. I like that. Go Irish, but Doyle is my TE1. Doyle's not your TE1. Who said that? Goder is your TE1. Don't let anybody tell you different. You've said you liked Debo before, right? Yep, I drafted him. The crazy thing is I drafted him as a cuff to Dante Pettis because I'm telling you, there's a tale of two seasons. Dante Pettis is one of those guys. I have a bad feeling. I love him. He's worth the upside. Like I said, he has a wide receiver one upside, but he's injury prone. I get Debo. I'm good. In that offense, with his ability, with nobody else, if Pettis gets hurt, Debo's going to be one of those guys like a J.J. Arcega that's going to come on later in the year and win you guys leagues. Mark my words. J.J. Arcega, somebody, if you have a deeper bench, you're in a deeper league, you're in a dynasty league, he's somebody I really, really like, and you guys should all be targeting. Obviously, he's not somebody that can be in a, depending on your league and how everybody drafts, but he probably won't be on your bench if you only have 6 bench spots, standard 12-team league. But if you're in a 14, 16, definitely going to be on somebody's roster, dynasty for sure. So he's the guy like a Debo that could come on later, like a Darwin Thompson that, the second half of the season, those are the guys that are going to win. It's always the weird guys. It's not your stud players. That's why I always say you guys get infatuated with the names. It's not the name brands that win you leagues. It's the Damian Williams, the Jalen Samuels, those guys that, come on late. So keep that in mind because so many guys think they won or lost their league in the draft, and that's not true. Even if you draft the most amazing team, shit happens. Players come on. You still got to be on top of things. Yeah. Try and trade Singletary for Cup, Boyd, or Dede. Yeah, I would trade Singletary for any of those. My wide receivers are T.Y., Sanders. Oh, yeah, your wide receivers are shit, for lack of a better term. I have Zeke, Gurley, and Michelle. Oh, 3 risky running backs. I don't know about that. Goddard, you think we'll have enough production each week to be a tight end? Well, okay, Garrett, let me stop you right there. There is not a tight end that has production each week. Maybe Kelsey Ertz, yeah. After those guys, Austin Hooper is not going to have every week production as much as I love him. Definitely not Jack Doyle. So he's going to have just as much production as anyone else, but more because he's in a high-octane offense with a stud quarterback in the right system that features the tight end. He's going to be on the field just as much as anybody because he's going to play about 50 to 60% of snaps. That's what most passing tight ends play anyway. Remember, there's blocking tight ends and passing tight ends, and a lot of times teams play 2 tight ends. So there's plenty of snaps to make him a low TE1 floor. That's what I believe his floor will be, a low TE1. If Zach Ertz get injured, he's a top 2 to 3 tight end. Stick with Ertz. Stick with Goddard. I know you like Hooper and Goddard, but what if I get Henry? I love Henry. I'm so mad. That's the mistake I made last year. He slipped to me at the end of the 6th, 7th turn, and I was so focused on running backs and wide receivers that I forgot to even look at tight end, and that's the one regret. And I ended up drafting Duke Johnson, Darwin Thompson, and obviously I would have much rather had Hunter Henry. I did manage to get Austin Hooper, but yeah, love Henry. Love Henry. I know you hate Gordon, but where would you see him go? Which Gordon? Wait, if you buy the book, do you get the draft kit? Yes. Not the Facebook group, but the draft kit, yeah. Give me 1 second. Let me go to the bathroom and charge this. Let me put this on the charger. I'm going to the bathroom. I'll be right back. I love Henry. Melvin. Yeah, I'm not big on Melvin, but actually I do have a feeling I am getting more sold on Melvin because he's going in the 4th or 5th. And at that point, he's worth the risk, especially if you could cuff him with Justin Jackson. You cuff him with Eckler too, but I think Justin Jackson's the better cuff because he's going later, and he's still going to be more like the goal line ball carrier, while Austin Eckler is better suited as a complementary pass catching back. I'll be right back. All right, I'm back. Connor, keep Singletary unless you get a wide receiver 1 for him. I don't know if I agree with that. I would trade Singletary for the guys you mentioned easy. Yeah, guys, if you buy the book for 99 cents, you get the draft kit. It's kind of a no-brainer. If you want to be part of the Facebook group, this is where I really like hold your hand every step of the way. It's $20 the whole year. You're going to want to be in this because the season gets busy, guys. The season gets busy. If you want me to give you that attention to focus on your team, to strategize, or if you get off to a bad start, or if you want to be one step ahead and how you can really, outwit your opponent, like the whole chess philosophy, I can't get through that with everybody's team on a live, on a DM, or on a post. That's just obvious. So as far as mapping out a strategy, that's where the Facebook group comes in. But the book and the draft kit, if you haven't drafted it yet, obviously, for 99 cents, guys, it's a quick read. It's 85 pages. It tells you all my thinking, my hacks, everything. Maybe Bucks. I don't know what you're talking about. Bucks don't have enough money for Gordon, if that's what you're talking about. What does the Still trade mean for the Texans wide receivers? It means this. It means that I think Kenny Stills is basically a cuff for Will Fuller. Will Fuller's injury prone. They're same type of player. They're kind of like that deep threat. I don't know if they would move Kenny Stills to the slot and just – so Kenny Stills will probably have some relevance in this season. Between Kiki Kuti and Will Fuller, one of them 110% sure is going to get injured. So Kenny Stills is good for deeper leagues, dynasty leagues, because he will be relevant at some point, and he will have some big weeks. And he's someone that could be, possibly a wide receiver 3 because remember, he might not start off that way. It might take some time, but there will become a point where he becomes relevant. He puts up big numbers. And fourth pick in 10-team PPR league, would you suggest go wide receiver first or running back? No, I would say the opposite, Cardinal. I would go 2 running backs. You usually win your leagues. So Kiki or Stills? I would pick Kiki right now, but there's risk. He's injury prone because Kiki's so talented. If Kiki is healthy, if Kiki is healthy, he's gonna ball. But it's a big if. I usually come in second or third. Yeah, exactly. If you follow my strategies, you'll win. Real talk though, I'm not saying that to be cocky or whatever, but I win a lot. And this is a proven system. So try it. And like you said, you come in second and third. So obviously your way hasn't worked. Try my way. Because you could still get a wide receiver, guys. Like I said, you can get Dante Pettis in the 9th, you can get him in the 9th. You could cuff him with Debo, and right there you have a stud wide receiver 2, easy. And that's in the 9th round. So I rather there's running backs are less and less, especially elite ones. If you waste that pick on a wide receiver when you could get something comparable, especially if you could get a Godwin in the 4th round, I don't think there's a difference between Juju and Adams and stuff and Godwin, but I think there's a bigger difference between passing up on a guy like, let's say, in the 4th or 5th round, Nick Chubb, and then you might not be able to get another guy like that. You could get somebody similar in round 2. Even, Mike Evans could slip, Tyreek Hill, Juju, doubt it. But you might not be able to get that Nick Chubb. Running backs, I feel like, are more scarce. Well, elite wide receivers are more scarce. But you can kind of spread that out with receivers with high floors and make up for it and then totally dominate. Because running backs are what wins leagues because they're the most consistent. Outside of your Juju, Adams, Hopkins, OBJ, even Michael Thomas had 4 games under 10 points, and Connor only had 1. So very, very consistent running backs, which is why you want as many possible. Lions claim running back McKissick. Any threat to Ty Johnson? I don't think so, man. McKissick hasn't shown anything. We'll see. I mean, either way, he's injury prone, so I was going to wait till later, 3rd and 4th or 5th rounds to get but I don't know your league. So if you can get away with that, then yeah, go for it. If you know for 110% that you can get. I definitely wouldn't go 2 wide receivers. If you want to go 1, fine. Let's meet 50-50. But 2 wide receivers, obviously, it hasn't got you. So I'd rather you go, if you're gonna do anything, I was gonna say go maybe double running back, but go 1-1. And then if you could get Kerryon and Montgomery with another stud running back and an anchor receiver, then you won. Thank you, Danny. Well, and Savi, to me, I think Kupp, Boyd, those guys he mentioned are wide receiver 1. So to me, that is a wide receiver 1. So I would trade. That's why I said that I think you're right. I wouldn't trade, Singletary for, I don't know, name somebody, but those guys are way more. They have just as much upside as Singletary. Singletary is he's still a question mark. Yeah. My brother won starting with Deshaun Hamilton too. You can plug and play that wide receiver 3. That's not a problem. You play the matchups. But you still want guys. You still need guys like Kupp, Boyd, who have high floors, consistent, and they could give you running back production. That's the key, to get wide receivers that have that running back-like production. And for me, Kupp, they're definitely better than Singletary. It's a no-brainer. Now, if it was a stud running back, Singletary is not a stud running back. Singletary is a wild card. He has high upside. He's like, your home run, your potential lottery ticket, I should say. But there's nothing sure about Singletary in that offense. So, yeah, he's not Montgomery or Kerryon. We're not talking about that here. He's RB3 right now with upside. Right now, Kupp is a top 12 receiver. So is Boyd, in my opinion. Just DM me. If you bought the book, just DM me the receipt, and I'll send you the link, guys, for the draft kit. No problem, Cardinal. None of the trades were accepted. Yeah. A lot of people, they're hesitant to trade. Guys, the season hasn't started yet. So most people like their draft and like their team, and then they want to see things play out. So just take advantage of emotions, which a lot of people have. Go for teams that have panicky owners. Certain players will start off slow, and those are the ones you have to take advantage. So when I'm convinced on a player, I'm convinced. So I'm not going to judge him based on one game. If Cooper Kupp has like 2 bad games, I'm not going to, abandon Cooper Kupp. But I'm going to go after the owner who has Cooper Kupp because I believe in him, because he has a good enough track record. And that's when you take advantage of situations. There's going to be situations that present itself. I wouldn't worry too much, Gary. You just picked up Shady McCoy, too. Yeah, week 1, week 2, maybe you want to know. You don't need anything. I usually don't trade until I see something where I see a really golden opportunity, or I started off slow or bad, or I need to trade, or because there's a bye week coming up and I need to get rid of this player because if not, I'm going to lose for sure. So, it depends on the situation. Seeing all these pickups here. All right, I think I'm gonna start heading out though, guys. I'll answer this last question. Don't get me wrong, I love CMC, Juju, and Cooks, but I'm not loving having. Yeah. Oh no, Galladay's awesome, bro. If he was your wide receiver 1, I'd feel you, but bro, as your wide receiver 2 or 3, what the fuck are you complaining about? Galladay's amazing. He's gonna blow your socks off. So be happy. I think Galladay is like a top 15 receiver, so right below the wide receiver 1s. Don't trip on that. I would trade Cooks over him. So, all right, guys, I'm gonna wrap this up. Thank you for joining me. Thank you for the likes. 22 thumbs up. I do appreciate you guys. And anytime there's a lot of stuff to catch up on, because again, I asked you guys the question thing, and there was just so many. So it's just easier for me to go on live, more personal. You saw how I was able to get more in depth. So yeah, guys, you guys be good. Have a happy Labor Day weekend.